Awesome. To everybody on the live stream who has just joined us, and some of you from around the world, some of you are up at very wild hours of the evening and morning. Thank you for joining. To everybody in the room, thank you also for joining. Round of applause just for turning up, for getting to the screen, to getting in the room. Give yourself a round of applause. Now, for those on the live stream, you might be thinking, I promised myself I would never turn up to another virtual event. Or you may be thinking, what do you mean people in the room? Why am I not in the room? Well, friends, we want to invite you in the room in the future, and later tonight you're going to learn who's in the room and what role they play. I want to take you back to 2016, to a room here in Melbourne. Some of you were there, and it was a room where we launched a book titled Chapter 1. There was 950 people seated and eating. Now I realize we're also seated and everyone's trying to quietly eat. And I'll just say this to the room, you eat as loud as you want, get into that food, go for it. But we were in this room launching this book, Chapter 1, The Future and the Vision of Thankyou. I actually put up a photo, and this gives you a sense of like how long ago it was, 2016. This is a photo of our son, Jed. Jed had just been born. He was a few months old. Jed is streamed in tonight. He's at home, and he's zoomed in tonight. But this gives you a sense of like, okay, so how long has it been in the Thankyou journey? I put this photo up of Jed, and for those of you who've seen any of the photos from Chapter 1, you'll notice something. And if you look closely, you'll notice that I had very, very straight hair. And this is because from a very young age, I did two things. I either had very short hair, or one day a hairdresser introduced me to a hair straightener and said, if you want to hide your curls, here's how you could do it. And so I straightened my hair every day. And that worked up until our son, Jed. Well, he grew up, and at about the age of 1, he had these beautiful curls, and everyone would say, where does Jed get his curls from? And then my incredible wife and co-founder, Justine, would say, oh, Jed gets them from Daniel. To which people would look, and then she would say, yeah, he straightens his hair. I was like, babe, why do you keep doing that? She's like, the look on your face, it's priceless. And so a couple of years into it, I just decided, you know what, be confident. And so I let the curls out one day, and ever since then, people do not know, did I used to straighten my hair, or do I have a perm? People can't figure that out. Justine and I were filming as part of the launch and stuff that's going to happen on social media soon, and Jed was sick that day. He couldn't go to school. He was sure of it. So he came to the studio, and we were filming, and then he sat in the chair, and I was like, hey, Jed, and I asked him a couple of questions. This is an interesting picture of, I suppose, how far things have come. Here's a little intro to Jed. Hey, Jed, question for you. Why does Thankyou exist?
To help extreme poverty.
Help extreme poverty. And how old are you?
7 and I'm turning 8 this year.
7, turning 8. Okay. And sometimes we get you to test products at home, but you've had some ideas for some other products you think Thankyou needs. What are you thinking?
Well, really, I just think Thankyou just needs some to also make some like toys for like kids.
Jed wanted me to reassure everyone, because I checked. I said, Jed, can I play this? He's like, yeah, but Dad, you cut out the toys that help people around the world. And I said, I'll explain that bit. But that's how far Thankyou's grown up. That's Jed's sister, Jordan. Our family's grown up since then. But Thankyou's grown up too. And this has been a journey that started with a book, and a book that went out. And for those that don't know, 100% of the profit from the book, Chapter 1, would fund Chapter 2, the future of Thankyou. And for those who bought Chapter 1, thank you. It exceeded all of our expectations. For those who know, in the first 2 hours, Chapter 1 sold at a pay-what-you-want price in airport bookstores and online We raised $360,000. In the first 28 days from the sale of this book, we raised $1.44 million profit. Now, for context going into it, people said in Australia, a best-selling book is 5,000 copies and you'd be lucky to make about $50,000 profit. So here we were, 1.44, and it kept growing. The most paid, well, our favorite is the least paid. It is 5 cents. And we often joke about it, but it is true. We literally have these people who paid 5 cents. We've got their addresses from our online store. But the most paid was a year after all the hype died down. A lady paid for one copy $50,000. Anyone in this room or online can top that, but that is currently the record. That is currently the record for chapter 1. Was that an offer, Matt? So, so the book exceeded our expectations, and it grew. The book traveled, the story traveled, and we found ourselves traveling and following it. One room I ended up in was in Japan. At the back of the room were these boxes, and in the boxes were translators, 10 translators, 10 languages for a room of 65 people. But these were 65 CEOs or C-suite from some of the biggest retailers in the world, and I got to share our story, and it landed so well. Jokes were delayed due to translation, but it landed pretty well. And retailers started asking for product. One of the groups in Norway, Coop, they reached out going, "This is amazing, love what you're doing, would you come and speak at our conference?" We did that. Then they said, how could we expand Thankyou into Scandinavia? And that was exciting. And there were other interviews in other rooms, and in chapter 2 you'll read about it. But here's a question that, well, I think you'll feel the weight of it. Because when we found ourselves in this room and we were asked this question, wow.
How do you think about exporting what Thankyou's doing to not just other products, but also other markets?
And that is a cool question. How do you think about expanding products, not just into other markets, but into other countries? And when we were asked that question, it was exciting because we were working on the launch of Thankyou in New Zealand. We were also launching Thankyou into the baby category. And I had this conflict because in one sense, wow, the 44th president of America is asking. And the cool thing is at the end, we gave him a copy of chapter 1, a hand wash, and he said, "Oh, the girls and I, we wash our hands, this will be great." I thought, that's cool. In one sense, we've got that happening, but in the other sense, we had a problem. And we discovered the problem when we launched into the baby category. We launched a range of nappies here in Australia and a range of baby care products, and it was our most successful launch to date. Our product business doubled. We got 10% market share in the subcategory that we'd launched in, and in many senses that is success, and it was success. But then we discovered the fight of our lives up against some pretty big brands in the space. One of the biggest doubled their promos from 17 weeks a year to 33 weeks a year, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's the nature of competition. But we found ourselves fighting a fight in the nappy market, whilst at the same time starting to expand Thankyou into New Zealand. And I never forget the day we wrote a letter and we posted it out to our community, and the letter was titled "Better Before Bigger." And we said, at Thankyou we believe anything is possible. But we've discovered not everything is possible, and we announced the exit of our food range. For those who bought a Thankyou food product, this was a loved range, but we made the decision that we were trying to win in this nappy market, steward the personal care business, which was in great growth, also managing the water business and the food, and we made a decision, let's pull back, let's focus, and then we'll grow forward. That sea salt and caramel nut bar was the greatest muesli bar that has ever been made. I miss it to this day. But we announced the exit of that, and to our shock, over time, we couldn't win in nappies. We had a problem. Then we went to New Zealand, and the New Zealand launch was accepted by people so well. We had people posting their support. The first 13 weeks, people were pulling product off the shelf so quick, and we expanded, and in all senses, that is success, and it was for the first 13 weeks. But we faced a similar challenge. No longer can Thankyou turn up and sneak its way into a category. When we turn up, people are ready, and every local brand, small, big, tier 1, tier 2, everyone's doing all the things you do when a new brand comes in. And the little engine of Thankyou that was split across multiple categories, trying to innovate in multiple spaces, we couldn't hold growth. And at the end of the day, if you're not growing in the fast-moving consumer goods industry, you're in trouble. And so what do you do when you've got people around the world saying, when's Thankyou coming to the world? Retailers saying, we want it. Us saying, we want to deliver it, but if we're scaling a problem, something that is not ultimately going to last, then this organization is not built to last. And so in 2018, we started an internal project, and it was called Project Salvation. It's a drastic name, but essentially for the co-founders and a few of us, we thought, if we don't get this right on the inside, this will never reach its potential. And so with the help of many, many, many great people and advisors, we looked back over Thankyou's history, and we discovered there were some things that we were really good at, and there were some things that we were average at best, even though we gave it all of our heart and all of our might. When we looked back at the remarkable things, these were the things we were invited to speak or provide thought leadership on. When we looked at the things that challenged us, that we couldn't do well, the more money and team and people that we threw at it, we found ourselves conflicted. And there was these amazing design thinking consultants who came into the business. And they said, we think you don't know who you are. Are you a product company or a brand company? And I said, oh, we're 100% a product company. And the design consultant said, that's interesting. After talking to everyone in the organization, we didn't think you'd say that. I said, oh no, but we're 100% a brand company too. We're a 200% company. And just like you guys in the room, they laughed. And I was like, no, we're ambitious. We're a 200% company. But it turns out you cannot be a 200% company. And we went on this journey to discover the answer to this question. There was a moment, end of the project, Justine and I had 2 months off at Thankyou. We were both experiencing, I was on the edge of burnout. Justine was right in it. She'd had 3 months in bed, 9-month recovery. And this lovely couple in New Zealand opened their home. They said, hey, you can stay here, recover, get well. And we read this book. And we're reading this book overlooking the mountains in the South Island, and it was a great book. Justine had told me to read the book 2 years earlier, and I was like, I'm fine. But I finally read it, and it proposed this question, what's your 5%? And in it, this leader had gone through burnout, and he simply said, 85% of what you do as a leader, someone else could do. 10% of what you do as a leader, someone who you highly train or apprentice, they could do it. But it leaves this 5%, the bit that only you can do. Now there's a lot of similar ideas out there. And at first it seems simple. But what happens when you're ruthless with that question of, what's the bit that only I can do? And so we looked at Thankyou. And we thought, well, Thankyou's kind of trying to be 100%. And if you walk through our old office in Collingwood, which many of you did, we were building everything in-house. Creative team of 10, a growing finance team of probably 10 at plus. We're doing everything in-house because at Thankyou we believed we had a special sauce. And as this thing built, not that we aimed it to be, lots of people put good heart, good soul, but it became almost like a Death Star that was growing because every category we added created more complexity. And every space that we went into, our focus would shift. We were competing against companies that woke up every single day thinking about one category. We woke up every day thinking about many. So, we asked ourselves, what's Thankyou's 5%? And on this slightly complicated graph, is actually a really simple picture. There's a question of what is Thankyou's 5%, but we looked at 10% of what we did, a lot of the creative and the design that we always did in-house, and we started to wonder what would it look like to highly integrate with other partners. I mean, we've always thought this is only in-house, but maybe we could branch out, maybe we could integrate better. And then we looked at the 85%. The bit that at times we would find tripping up, and we looked at our retail management, supply chain, procurement, new product development. We were running e-commerce in-house, and as we looked at 85% of what we did, we wondered, what would it look like to find other partners who could actually do that work? And at Thankyou, we stick to our 5%. So what is Thankyou's 5%? We may spend our life discovering this further. But number one, like it is for many organizations, we would say part of our 5% is setting the vision, the mission, the values, and the strategy. We can get help and advice, but ultimately this is something that we're responsible for. And at Thankyou, we've set bold vision, bold mission, bold strategy. Number two, how we give the funds, and you hear a bit about that later tonight, and who we give it to. For us, this is the integrity, and there's also been some great backing of some great change makers. And we looked at this and thought, well, we're not implementers, but this is absolutely part of our 5%, how we give. Ideation and brand curation. A lot of Thankyou's success was found in this. And when I talk about ideation, this doesn't mean owning ideas, but it's spotting ideas, or it's wondering, or it's seeing a gap in the market. When you think about new product development, it's a huge process. In this room, many of you are part of that. There's an idea or a gap, there's some disruptive thinking, and then there's a whole lot of work to get that to reality. The bit that Thankyou had its best work in was here, and over time, we discovered some of our limitations. Number 4 was storytelling. The marketing, the Thankyou story, this was part of the secret sauce. And we figured if we did this, and only this, well, we'd have to become very good at partner selection and very good at managing and structuring partners. But if we could do those 5 things well, maybe we could see the vision realized. To be clear, the vision at Thankyou is a world where not one person lives in extreme poverty. This is a shared vision by many great organizations who we fund, many others around the world. But the mission to get there and how Thankyou plays a role is this tapping into consumer spending, the $63 trillion that we spend annually on stuff. And our vision at Thankyou is that you'll find Thankyou not just in one product category, but multiple product categories in multiple countries. To get there, we're convinced we cannot do it all by building some big thing on the inside, and so Engine 1 became the term for the old design of Thankyou. We're very grateful for every person, every role, and the journey to get here. But Engine 2 became our language on the new design of Thankyou and the new path forward. To give you context, at the time, we had 60 people in our team. It was 60 in Australia, going on 90. Then as we expanded into the US and Europe, we're starting to plan out hundreds. And as we mapped out one day, thousands. Engine 2 looks very different. We started to map it out. And inside Thankyou, not just for an Australian business, but a business that can help cater to the world, there might be 18 people. There might be 20. Maybe we got the numbers wrong, maybe there's 30, but it looks fundamentally different. Because if we go all in on our 5%, and then we find a network of highly integrated partners who are best in the world at what they do, together we see the vision become a reality. So, in 2019, we set the strategy, and then began the project of finding partners. David Kidder, who we met through the launch of Chapter 1, he's a marketer in New York. He said, you have to have the courage to walk away from what you're decidedly average at. And it's this courage to go all in, or he describes it as 10x, all in on what you're remarkable at. And so at Thankyou, we made the decision, we're going all in on our 5%. And we're going to curate partners and partnerships, and we're going to find a path forward. And so as part of that journey, we knew our 5% at the top probably shouldn't be a question mark anymore. We discovered it. Our 10% Well, we started highly integrating with partners like Marks, Per Capita, others who are in the room as this idea grows. But our big question was, what about the 85%? How could we do procurement and supply chain and retail and distribution in markets all around the world? Our vision is to see Thankyou global, not in 1 or 2 countries, but over 150 and in time, maybe more. And so we thought, well, if that's how big the vision is, we better start at the top. So we started at the top and we invited some people to have a look at this opportunity. For those who remember, no small plan, we launched this video in September 2020.
It's like all the bigness of the cosmos and all the smallness of our lives, they almost look out like disastrous fires in Australia.
Nation erupted into scenes of chaos, violence, as coronavirus linked panic buying.
We are all connected. All of us connected.
In this moment, it's like we're collectively holding our breath for what comes next. And in this great pause, I want to share an idea with you, one that we think could change the course of history. See, before the pandemic, we, the world of consumers, spent $63 trillion on stuff. And in that same world, 736 million people were living in extreme poverty. One world, 2 extremes, it just doesn't feel right. And then the pandemic hit, and things went from bad to worse.
The lockdown's pushing millions of people into the brink of starvation. The healthcare system is already overwhelmed.
And the strangest part of it all is while the world's been in turmoil, some people got really rich. And we know that because, well, we're one of them. See, when the pandemic started, consumers kept consuming and we made over $10 million profit. Our secret? Well, we sold hand sanitizer and hand wash. It was like a gold rush. I mean, everyone who could got in on it. But with the best of stories, there's always a twist. And this story is no different. Because we are Thankyou, and we exist to bridge the gap between our world's 2 extremes. This isn't about making shareholders rich. We're a social enterprise, so the whole reason we make money is to get it to the parts of the world that need it most. Our focus is the end of extreme poverty. Now, this movement started in Australia. We have over 50 products, and it's because people first used their voice. Like when the 2 big supermarkets said no to us for years. Then people petitioned. They sung, danced, rapped, uploaded videos. 2 helicopter pilots even flew their helicopters for half an hour around the head offices for free. Both of them said yes. And then consumers used their choice. And together we raised over $17 million for the true heroes in this story. Our partners working on the front line, serving the world's poor on their journey out of extreme poverty. But imagine for a moment that Thankyou didn't just exist in Australia and New Zealand, 2 of the smallest countries on the planet. Imagine if it existed in your country, and for that matter, every other country too. Well, that wouldn't have been 10 million we just made in a few months. It'd be literally hundreds of millions of our collective consumer dollar. And so we had an idea. A local movement started this. But could a global movement take this idea to the world? Now, it's a nice idea, but to do it, we'd be going up against the biggest product companies on the planet. When we first started Thankyou, we had no idea about the game we're about to play, or those who we were about to play with. We think at a human level, our competitors like what we do. But at a commercial level, it's been the battle of our lives for over a decade, going head to head with a system that has our world in a chokehold. But it's 2020. And if that's taught us anything, it's that business as usual is out the window, and we must forge bold new paths forward. So today, we're flipping the game on its head. We've just sent this invitation to P&G and Unilever. If you don't know them, they're 2 of the biggest product companies on the planet, and they literally run the world. They have hundreds of factories. They make products for billions of us every day. We've watched them for over a decade, and to their credit, they've solved some really complex ethical and sustainability stuff, genuinely It's impressive. So we've sent this invitation, and in it is a Zoom link to a meeting 2 weeks from today. We've also put a letter that outlines you can't buy Thankyou, no one ever can. But it's a partnership. In the same way that Adidas make and distribute Kanye's brand Yeezy, or Nestle make and distribute the Starbucks coffee pod into retail stores around the world. We thought if the system can unlock a model like this for a shoe and a coffee pod, and in that same process make billions of dollars for its shareholders, could the world not turn that same key for a product that breathes in profit and breathes out social impact? And this is not a story of David joining Goliath. This is a story of us, a consumer movement, finding a partner and together becoming a bigger David to take down the true Goliath. A $63 trillion consumer system that makes the rich richer and leaves the poor behind. But multiple industry experts have heard our idea. Say there's no chance these big two would agree to that because they buy companies. They don't partner with them in this way. And that's where you come in. This is not a simple, we take it to a few at the top. We need the many below, us the consumer, to unite our voice and together flip business as usual.
The city streets are again empty as Melbourne enters its second coronavirus lockdown.
Our borders are locked down. We literally can't even get out of our own country, but maybe with you, this idea can. So this is a call out to the world. We're asking you to say 4 words. I'm in, are you? Post it onto whatever platform works for you, then tag P&G, tag Unilever, so that they know you're serious. Hashtag thank you to the world. Then call your mum, call everyone. Use what's in your hand to help this message go further. And then thank you, well, we've gone all in. So whilst we've sent the big two this invitation, we've also sent that same invitation to 9 of their direct competitors. Because if the big two won't help us on this mission, well, maybe someone else will. Now, how will you know how this story ends? Well, 3 weeks after the meeting, we'll be posting who's in onto one of the largest digital billboards in the world, found in Times Square, New York City. And on that day, we look forward to celebrating those brave enough to flip the system and change the world. Now, there's one question I think you might be thinking. What if this whole idea doesn't work? But can I ask you another question? What if it does work? What if we're on the edge of a new normal, where the products we choose every day exist to right or wrong, an inequality gap so big that it should not exist, where us, humanity, working together to do good becomes as easy as breathing in and breathing out? This is no small plan, and if you're in, thank you.
September 2020 was a wild time. For those who were part of the campaign, you know what happened. We sent 2 invitations in these pretty large glass trucks, head office in London and then to Cincinnati. And it began what was a wild month. We had 825 media features covering the campaign. I found myself on the phone or on Zoom. We're talking to people in Japan and Philippines and into Brazil and into South Africa and India, and it was wild. 36 countries, thousands of people posting their support, 2.67 billion media impressions. It was a big idea. The question is, what happened? The first phone call we got was a cool one. It wasn't from one of the big two, it was from another big company. We're on Zoom one night and they said, "We're first, aren't we?" I said, "Yeah, you guys are first." We had some of their most senior teams saying, "Here's how we could be Thankyou's partner. We're not quite their size, but here's what we could do." And we were on from day one. Later that week was one phone call that sums up the entire sentiment of this idea. It was another organization, not the big two, who simply said, For years in our team, we talk about acquisition. What brands are we acquiring? It's part of the strategy. And every time Thankyou was brought to me, I would say, well, no, we can't acquire Thankyou. That changes them and it doesn't feel right. She said, thank you for finding a way. So many of us want to do so much good, and if this idea could go further, I think it's bigger than any one company. And that was a special week. But what happened to the big two? And in short, they both said no. And that's okay. And we wish them well. And in that no, while we were receiving it, 2 more buckets emerged. One, other companies in the tier 1 kind of space saying, what about this and what about that? And that led us on an 18-month journey where we started joking about no small plan. We're like, we should have called it no short plan. And for 18 months, we started meeting ideas back and forward, and I could sum up those 18 months by this one moment. A great offer and a great opportunity for Thankyou. One group willing to invest $50 million into our US launch, and I don't know about you guys, but when you hear 50 million on Zoom, the key is to try and keep a straight face and just sort of play it real cool. We played it real cool. Like that's, it's interesting. And bucket 2 was people willing to take Thankyou further, and the buts in this case was equity. Equity in Thankyou, 30% or more equity. And as cool as that is and as good as that deal is for us, that is not Thankyou. Thankyou can't be sold, it can't be bought. And we worked with a lot of smart people. And even right now, some of you are thinking, surely there's a way to structure it. We looked at it all. But ultimately, unless we were willing to take the more traditional path, this was not Thankyou's path. And we said no. But what gave us that confidence was from week 1 of the campaign. We started getting phone calls from some people in this room, from some people on Zoom right now. People who said, hey, we're not them, but here's what we could do in this country, and here's what we could do in that country. Some of these phone calls came from retailers. One had over 15,000 stores in 17 countries. Also another great keep your straight face moment. One of the biggest retailers in India, then distributors and manufacturers, and wow. After 18 months, it was really interesting to see the way things have always been done. And then bucket 3, a group of, we started nicknaming them the revolutionists, because we're like, there's a lot of them, and 13, 14 partnerships, and how's that going to work? And we started to flesh it through, but Gilles, your team right now in Europe, zooming in, thank you. When we met Gilles, we put to him the idea. And he'd called the whole time during the campaign. He's been a great follower of Thankyou for years. Gilles sold one of his companies in personal care to one of the biggest tier 1 groups for 230 million euro. Another one for 40 million euro. And he talked about how our team could take Europe and Thankyou into Europe. And we were like, cool, well, here's the percentage we need to make the model work. And the interesting thing about the negotiation was this. In bucket 2, people would look at our expectation and put forward an idea that was a third of it. Gilles came back saying, here's how we could get you 50% more. And that thread was common amongst everybody. And so, about a year ago, we set the path. That Thankyou can get to the world, because our mission is to find partners who can do that 85%. We set out inviting the big 2, and we wish them well. But thanks to many partners sitting in this room, including Pattern, who are a direct-to-consumer business, a mind-blowing model. So you guys probably know running e-com's a little bit complicated. Well, it is. The team at Pattern here in Australia, and then their team of 1,100 people around the world, they run people's direct-to-consumer businesses for them globally. We're the brand, we bring product. These guys play the game that, as you know, is a very hard game to play. And so part of our strategy is, as Thankyou expands, we launch here in Australia, and then as we launch into retailers in other markets, our goal is that Pattern could roll out Thankyou direct to consumer into other countries. Which countries? Well, at this point, we'll say this. Over the next 3 years, a network of partners in Australia, Europe, Asia, the UAE, US, and if you know anyone in South America, we're still looking, give us a call. We're going to be expanding Thankyou. The products you see in a moment, and we're going to be expanding that to the world. The interesting thing about this model is it looks, smells, feels like the beginning of Thankyou. Thankyou always was people coming together, sometimes against all odds. But what has been remarkable is the caliber of each of the partners. In the room, Chris and Angela from Parve have built a very disruptive business in Australia and New Zealand. They manage, as Ange would put it, all the hard stuff, from supply chain and procurement right through to a whole bunch of the hard stuff. But the truth is, they've made their bit, which is challenging. Well, they've become some of the best in the industry in it, and by partnering together, we can go further. We had 3 innovation houses all around the world reach out. One group, some who are in the room today, some who are coming in from Europe, they talked about, oh yeah, we're doing a launch for a retailer at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it's a 1,400 SKU launch, 1,400 products at once. Now at Thankyou, we're not quite there. You're about to see about 40. But the capability was truly remarkable. And so, for the last year, we've been working very hard behind the scenes. We've stayed tight-lipped about timing and countries and launches for this reason. When we launched into New Zealand, everyone knew the date, which retailers we were partnered with, and how the launch would work. And in hindsight, that was a mistake. So, when we launch into other markets in the coming months, next year and beyond, one day, Thankyou won't exist in that market. The next day it will. Now, the key to this is innovation. We must bring innovation to the market. And friends, in Engine 2, Thankyou Reimagined, a network of partners, many who are in this room right now, and others from other countries who are zooming in. Together, we're about to bring Thankyou product to the world. It starts in a few days' time here in Australia. At Thankyou, we have 2 rules. Rule 1, make great product. Rule 2, never break rule 1. The asterisk says never use a good cause to sell an average product, and that is absolutely the key to Thankyou. Never use a good cause to sell an average product. But we're about to see product, thanks to some amazing partners and partnerships, go to a whole nother level. And it starts with personal care. Now, right now, this is what we are most known for here in Australia. And this is a really interesting picture because Thankyou has got a little bit lost on the shelf. We often get feedback from people like, wow, there's a lot of amber bottles out there. And we have got a little bit lost. But Ryan, who's the founder of Marks, along with Prue, shout out to you guys. Ryan's also super humble. You'd never find this out. But he was on the chair. He's the chairman of New Zealand Design. He's a thought leader in design. But he put a picture to us. And he said, I think what's interesting about this picture is some products were designed 3 years ago. Some were designed 40 years ago. You'll never know. Because good design stands the test of time, and I think it's time that Thankyou has something that can stand the test of time, that is a statement forever, that you can put in your bathroom or your laundry. It's something you don't replace. Because if you're in for Thankyou, you're in for the mission. This is a statement of who you are. And so, after a lot of work, I'm introducing you to the first product in the range, which is Thankyou's new hand wash and new Forever bottle. This is a recycled aluminium bottle from Spain, something that will come here first to Australia and then into other markets. It comes in black aluminium. It has a beautiful bespoke lid with the mission, all for humanity, all for the end of extreme poverty, embossed into the lid. In the category, there's a lot of stock bottles and stock lids, but this is about design-led thinking at every single level. The bottle comes in black, which is historic for our brand, but for those that aren't super into black, it launches in white too. In a couple of months' time, you'll see the Forever bottle range expand into glass with the smoky black and then the frosted white. They come in these beautiful boxes, and it's an unboxing experience just like an iPhone. And as you pull it apart, it's like, is this just a hand wash? Well, no, this is a statement for you forever. And it is backed by our 100% recycled and made from recycled HDPE refill system. We're designing for circularity, and this product comes in a hand and body wash refill. We are simplifying things for consumers because hand and body wash is often quite similar. And so we developed a formula with many people in this room that is an incredible body wash and an incredible hand wash. No two areas drop. But what that means is the consumer is simplicity, and what that means is value. The 3 liter is important because at this time, inflation, the things are real. Channel 7 did a great little thing the other day. They didn't check with us, but they did the whole industry, and they're like, and Thankyou hasn't put up its prices in 2 years. And we're like, oh, we haven't, but we're about to. Now that is due to all of the reasons from inflation and all the things there, and it's through to Thankyou Reimagined. New product, more quality. The 3 liter though delivers such a good price per 100 ml that as a consumer, this is the most price effective way to get high quality product delivered to you. Now, our everyday range currently comes filled on shelf, and we know that the Forever bottle is a big jump. So you will see this product pop up. It comes filled. It's had a complete rethink in terms of its formula is at a global spec, ready for our global retail partners. The product looks different. It's white, not black. But together, this range will appear in our retail partners, and you'll find our filled range right across the market, Coles, Woolworths, Chem Warehouse, all of our independent partners. You'll find our refill systems, the 1 liters everywhere. The 3 liters have been backed boldly by Coles and Chem Warehouse and our independent supermarkets. They've backed the 3 liter, and they've also backed the Forever bottle range to say thank you. I'd love us all to put our hands together for our retail partners. And this is where things start to take off. Thankyou is launching as part of this Reimagined. We are launching a world first. It's 100% natural origin, 48-hour antiperspirant designed and delivered to us as consumers in a refill system. Now, this combination has never existed before. And to understand the weight of this in the natural category, it's a cool thing because the product's natural, but in deodorant, one of the challenges is they often don't work. Gilles, who I mentioned earlier, this incredible French innovator whose innovation and companies have gone on to do great things. When he joined Thankyou, it wasn't just a commitment to, yeah, we'll help take Thankyou to Europe. But Gilles just described this innovation as his life's best work. And he's given it to Thankyou for this next chapter. This product comes in the filled bottle, it comes in the Forever bottle range, and every single bottle is refillable. We have 100 ml refills, and this has been boldly backed by our retail partner, Coles. Again, a round of applause. In the video, we talked about cleaning reimagined, and I don't just mean, oh, Thankyou's going to do a cleaning range. We mean cleaning reimagined. We're launching a 100% natural cleaner that is a hospital-grade disinfectant. For context, in the history of cleaning, if you wanted to get rid of a risk in your home, you have to enter a risk. So if you want to get rid of viruses and bacteria, you've got to bring in chemicals. And this is the new frontier of cleaning. No chemical risk to remove a risk. And a picture says 1,000 words. This picture will drop in a few weeks' time, pending a bunch of different legal sign-offs. And it was meant to be ready for tonight, but this is going to be a mic drop moment, and we respectfully drop it in the industry to say this. The goal for every company should be healthier and cleaner homes, healthier and safer homes. But what you'll see in this picture is what this cleaner is. It's 100% natural, but it's also hospital grade. It's safe for repeated use on sensitive skin. This is a game changer. How did Thankyou get it? Well, Thankyou got it because we put an invitation out there to others to contribute. And we got a call from Greg. A year and a bit ago, Greg called and he's like, do you remember me? I did remember Greg because Greg worked on the nappy launch. He was a consultant we brought in and he worked on that. And he said, we're working on a project, you're going to have to see it to believe it. And our team went and saw it, and then we believed it. The 62 pages of documents backing every single claim. This is a big step forward. But Greg introduced us to Kevin, and Kevin set out because his son had eczema, and he inherited that eczema from him. And cleaning product would always set it off, and Kevin's like, there's got to be a cleaning product that can deliver that level at hospital without hurting you and being natural. Everyone said you can't do it. For a couple of years, thankfully Kevin and some people threw a lot of time and a lot of money and big teams around it. And they developed this formula, and they could have taken it to anyone. But to Kevin, to the team, thank you for choosing Thankyou. Because this product hits the market in a few days' time, literally. And the product isn't just a good formula. Designed into it is a dilution system, 1-to-1, it's hospital grade. 1-to-3, it's antibacterial household grade. 1-to-9, it's antibacterial floor and window cleaner. The significance of that is incredible because it means that at a price per mil, if you were to dilute this at home with water to a 1-to-3 level, well, in the rest of the category, an antibacterial cleaner, on average, it's about $1.08, but on average, let's call it $1. At a 1-to-3 ratio, this is going to cost you 33 cents per 100 mil. At a time when all of us need it most, this may be one of Australia's most affordable cleaners and one of the highest quality cleaners. It comes in a whole bunch of products, including microfiber cloths and forever bottles. This is launching into Coles very soon, and then it is launching exclusively to them here in Australia, and then some of our big retail partners around the world will be taking this product. Whew. In the next 27 days, you'll be seeing the launch of our online store, and thanks to the team at Pattern and others, you'll be seeing all of these products, a few sneaky other products like our 4-in-1 squidgy appear. This is a great space for us to test ideas, a great way for us to learn, and then to take those ideas to scale. To every person in this room that has pulled these 3 ranges together over the last few months and year and a half, I want to say thank you. And can we please give a round of applause? This is the next chapter of Thankyou. And as part of the next chapter of Thankyou, product is stepping up a game. But we did promise that tonight we'd be launching the next book. And tonight we are launching the next book. And like many of you would have thought, as I thought, as we thought, the next book after chapter 1 is going to be chapter 2. But tonight, we're launching this. It's called Chapter 0. I appreciate the clap, even though people are like, what's going on? I just dropped the book, and everyone who helped make it is like, you didn't just drop that book. So, Chapter 0 is both a digital book and a hardcover book. I'm going to start by reading, and some of you will be like, oh, this is like one of those like kindergarten reading sessions. And when people ask, like, what did you do? We watched someone read a book. But friends, let me introduce you to Chapter 0, its purpose, and where this book is about to take us. This is the introduction. What if it works? We believe our world doesn't need another book. It needs an idea that could change it. And at Thankyou, we are writing a world-first book, written chapter by chapter over years, maybe even decades. The collections of these chapters make up the Thankyou book. And we believe by the time it's finished being written, extreme poverty will have ended and hopefully many more injustices will be over too. We know who had the privilege to start writing this book, but we're yet to know who will finish. All we know for sure is that if we play our part well, it won't be us. Because this idea and story is bigger than all of us. Chapter 0 is the most ambitious chapter in the Thankyou book. It's written for a small group of people on the inside. In time, some of these concepts and ideas will permeate beyond this, and you'll find them in other chapters in the Thankyou book. But this small group of people on the inside will make the single biggest impact of any within the movement. Like a compass is to the pioneer, so too is chapter 0 to those of us co-creating, co-pushing the limits of this idea with infinite potential that we call Thankyou. In it, we'll share our brand secrets, foundations, and true north, and together we'll find our way forward. Chapter 0 can't be bought. It can only be given. Generosity is the foundation of this movement, and when that stops, we should too. Our big bet is that this chapter that cannot be bought, available only to the smallest group on the inside, is likely to return the most value of any chapter in the Thankyou book. While chapter 0 cannot be bought, it will cost you something. To receive a copy, you have to give your time, some of your career, or the support of your business. This idea all costs us something, and yet, as often the case, when working for purposes bigger than ourselves, we feel like we've gained more than we've ever given. Chapter 0 was written after chapter 1 and before chapter 2. Our world is full of ideas, businesses, leaders, and teams that grow quickly, but rests on a foundation that often can't support that growth. Chapter 0 is a bold step into foundations. It took 12 years to gain insights and shape the ideas it holds. While everything inside of us wanted to power forward, and after the release of chapter 1 and launch chapter 2 and beyond, we realized that to go forwards, we had to first go backwards. We had to make sure our foundation was strong for the years to come. At quick glance, some of these pages may appear empty, and yet on those exact pages are the secrets and stories you need to do the impossible, to create. Creation isn't linear, it's abstract. To uncover what's written on some of these pages, you have to look at the pages with a different perspective, and on others, you need to carry them further into the light. For some pages, you'll literally need to pick up a pencil, set time to create and explore, all of which may make many of us feel uncomfortable and challenge our mindset of what it is to read a book, but the method to the madness is critical. Not just because at Thankyou we value unconventionality, but because throughout your journey at Thankyou, you'll have to see things from a different perspective. You'll have to find the courage to get out of your comfort zone and at times be willing to, like a child, dream again, to question things, to play with ideas and allow yourself to wonder in a society that too often quickly rules that kind of wondering out. This is a chapter designed to help you go from 0 to 1, which is a more significant jump than you may realize at first glance. 1 to 2 is multiplication. To replicate something or to multiply is completely different to what happens when you go from 0 to 1. 0 is nothing. If you replicate 0, you're left with 0. If you multiply 0, even with the biggest number known to mankind, it's still 0. But to move from 0 to 1 is to create. And chapter 0 gives you what you need to create, and then in time replicate and multiply. Within these pages are 14 ideas that matter. 14 ideas that will equip you for your journey at Thankyou. Chapter 0 is written for everyone on the inside, and here's how the book works. When we launched chapter 1, we printed 80,000 copies for the first print run. It was a bold number, but we sold them all. For this print run, we printed 200 copies. And that's because chapter 0 is a very different book. Each copy takes 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours and 45 minutes to print and hand bind. And it's hand bound by an artisan of her craft in an off-grid warehouse in New Zealand. This is a slow book, but it's an important book. And for those of you who get to read it, or those who worked on it, we all said, there's never been a book like this. And how do we get the book out is an interesting question, because this is probably one of the most expensive books that's ever been printed. Each copy, depending on the run, does cost a few $100s to make, but the way that Chapter 0 is distributed is that one copy is gifted from Thankyou, because generosity is the foundation of this movement, to each partner that backs it. When you receive your copy as a group, in the front of it is this cool black envelope. You wind back the string, and inside of it, just like the old library cards, is a space for you to put your name, the date you started working on Thankyou, and your signature. This is a story of legacy, and this is a story of stewardship. Now, if you're wondering, we're going to, at Thankyou, a team of 18 right now, 20, how long would it take to get the book around to the team? Well, if everyone had it for a week, that's 20 weeks. Some of you are much bigger, and it may take longer. Some of you right now are thinking, man, Sean's going to spill coffee on it. Like, this is not, no, we can't hand the book around. How do you even do that? And if you're Ryan, Michaela, Marks, Prue, if you're Manuel who worked on this, or Beth, or Janine, they would tell you, you wear gloves, you do not breathe when you turn the page. We are gifting one copy per partner in Australia and around the world. But to everyone else in the business and every partner business, we want everyone who touches Thankyou to get a copy of Chapter 0. And so that little flash you saw before, which maybe we can play again, is the Chapter 1 digital edition. And it is a masterpiece in and of itself. And so if you have 1,000 people in your team, and some do, and if you have more or less, everyone gets a digital copy of Chapter 0. So digital for everyone, one copy to share. And if in the back of your mind you're like, look, thank you for the digital copy, it does look cool, but Sean is literally going to spill coffee on the team copy, we're going to say to all partners, you are welcome. If you choose, individually, personally, or as a team, you can hit print on your digital copy, and if you want that as a keepsake, you can do it. It's a couple $100 per print. It is a lot. There is no pressure. But if you're on the Zoom right now saying, well, that's great, Chapter 0 is for everyone inside. As the invite said, we've made a digital copy of Chapter 0 available. And to the thousands of you who are part of the launch team and a heart and soul and secret source of Thankyou, this Thursday, in your inbox, you'll have the digital copy of Chapter 0. You can't get it printed, sorry, but it's given. There is no cost to Chapter 0, and in it, these are the ideas that haven't just built Thankyou. We're banking our future on them. And we hope as each of you chase your ideas and your dreams, that Chapter 0 will provide value for you on your journey. This book is about going backwards to go forwards. And it's probably about time I wrap. Let me say this. At the beginning of Thankyou, everyone said, could you make a t-shirt, like brand merch, like put the logo? And it was on the list, and then it fell down the list. But for Thankyou Reimagined, we brought it back up to the top of the list. And so there are some new products, there is a new book, but there's also a new t-shirt. This t-shirt doesn't have the Thankyou logo on it, because like most projects at Thankyou, when you have amazing creative groups and partners involved, the project grows. And so tonight we're launching the Inside collection, and unlike most brand merch, which projects itself on the outside, this is designed on the inside, for you. It is designed for the audience of one. Inside the shirt is an important idea, and if you're thinking, cool, where can I buy the t-shirt? Online? Nope. Which retailers? None. Except one. There is one store in the world that you can find this t-shirt. It's called the Inside Store. It opens on the 30th of the 6th this month, and in the Inside Store, you're going to find the Inside collection. This is a 14-week pop-up, and it's an idea that if it works, we hope to replicate in other places. And tonight, to finish this, I wanted to give you a sneak peek at the Inside Store. Welcome, friends, to the sneak peek. Please do not post about this until the 30th. Of the Inside Store, a space where we get to take you on the journey of Thankyou, where we get to take you on the journey that everything you've just heard in one space. What does it look like? You walk through this circle. And it's at this point, many of you are like, I have seen a lot of circles, and if you're in design, you're right. And the reason you've seen lots of circles is because our new brand mark is the opening to the store, and it's on every single product. Our new brand mark it's called the imperfect circle. Leonardo da Vinci is said to be the only person that ever drew a perfect circle freehand. While it is impossible, the imperfect circle exists now on every single label, every single bottle. And to the untrained eye, you almost can't notice it. But if you look closely, you will see it, and it represents a very important idea. We, humanity, we're imperfect. But at Thankyou, we're on a journey to find the best of the cumulative best of our imperfection. And in small form, the imperfect circle kind of looks like a pebble. In big form, it reminds us of the state of the world. And our world faces some big giants, but we believe the smallest of stones thrown correctly can take down those giants. And at Thankyou, every purchase we make, every product that moves, that is a throw of that stone at that giant. And when you walk through the imperfect circle, you're going to see in the store the new Thankyou range, from the personal care to the deodorants and the cleaning. For those who get a sneak peek access, a couple of the products are still a few days away, but it's a sneak peek access. You head around the store and you'll find the Inside collection. A shout out to our partner and friends at Outland Denim. Outland Denim have spent over 10 years getting their inside right in sustainability and supply chain, and together we've worked on this range, which is super cool. When you go in store, there's a fitting room out the back, and so you find your way to the fitting room, try your t-shirt on, pretty straightforward. But at this store, we also have a change room. There's a fitting room and there's a change room. We'll get to that in a minute. If you followed Thankyou from day one, water was our first product. And tonight we're inviting you to come on the journey, because as we launch some product this week, which you've just seen, there's some product coming tomorrow and we need your help launching it. You'll see Thankyou come back into that space. Tonight you've heard about the books. And let me finish here. Just below this safe is the title, Chapter 2. And inside the safe is simply an idea. This is a book that we're not finished writing yet. It's a book that everyone in this room, those zooming in, we're still writing together. And it's an idea that starts with a little moment and a little product, and it grows to many products, and then it grows to many countries. And for me, the biggest part of No Small Plan, you'll read about it in Chapter 2. Because while No Small Plan was about taking product to the world, people reached out to us in other categories outside of consumer product and said, hey, if the new model, what could it look like to do Thankyou in this space and this space? And in the book, when you read it, you will be shocked. So 1 minute you're talking to that company, but the next you guys are talking to that. And for us, there's a big idea and a big future. Some people in this room are working on it. And if you bump into them tonight, they're going to stick to, I'm a consultant. Yeah, I'm just a consultant. But we're working on the future of Thankyou. And every person on Zoom and in this room is part of making this happen, and this is a journey. So Thursday, you'll have Chapter 0 in your inbox. For partners, tonight, 1 copy will go out to each partner. To partners around the world, we're sending you the copy. We need your help, to all of our launch team, spreading the word. When product hits the shelf, we need you to hit the shelf. Because Thankyou is as big and it's as small as, the girls and I, we use hand wash. It's about people. It's about all of us using product. We need you to help hit the shelf, spread the word, and then the Inside Store launches on the 30th. For those in the room, we're about to leave here soon, and we'll head to the store. And if you're on Zoom and you're like, that is so unfair, between now and the 30th, tonight you're going to get an email. We've opened up a bunch of slots that you can come to the store. You can film. We'll do some Q&As. We're going to do some different exhibitions. You're welcome to come in. Just don't post until the 30th. So that's another part of the contribution. And then come the 30th, Inside Collection launches publicly, the store launches publicly, and then comes the online store. We've got a big month ahead, but more importantly, a big future. And I'm going to finish by playing this. It's a little tour into Thankyou's change room. This isn't where you fit your t-shirt, that's the fitting room. But in Thankyou's change room, we introduce you to the change that we see in the world. A change that many of us in this room and around the world are now working on. You'll find little ideas and secrets hidden, but most importantly, together you'll find this. It's a video on a 16-meter screen. It would cost $44,000 to hire it for the 14 weeks, but to the team at Boom that donated it, thank you. This is us, and together, this is what we're creating. Thank you.
Wow. It's a bit emotional, really.
What a surreal moment, Kirk.
Wow. Look, a couple of weeks ago, maybe now, you and Daniel co-wrote a piece on LinkedIn, and it was what happened to Thankyou, and it got a surprisingly good response because I think we really put it out there because people were really thinking it. We've just seen what's happened at Thankyou. But before we go into the future of Thankyou, I want to take a moment where we all can also acknowledge the people gone before us. We stand on shoulders of giants, and there have been so many people that have put blood, sweat, and tears into this, and we want to acknowledge the people that have gone before us as well. So can we clap for them? And can we clap for each other? Because this has been one of the most incredible 2 years of my life. I think sometimes you see the beauty in our partners just because it's the adversity we've gone through. And through the adversity, we've seen such incredible unity in such difficult circumstances to get to this point. So I just want to Why don't we all clap for each other? And if you can look to the person to your left or to your right and give them a thank
Say
you and well done.
Say well done. This is really a surreal moment for us because as we stand here today, we've seen and experienced it's been like a labour of love over the years. And if you've worked closely on the project, which those of you in the room have and those online have journeyed with us in some ways, it's been literally a labour of love. And we're here today seeing it birthed and becoming a reality is very exciting. So thank you, Daniel, for sharing. We're about to take a little break. For those of you online, I'm Justine and this is Kirk and we're hosting you tonight. And we're going to just have a little intermission for those of you who need a toilet break or need to grab a new water or something like that.
Yeah, you usually need a toilet break after a 1 hour keynote, right? But hey, if you're on the live stream, don't go anywhere, please, because we're about to go in to one of my favorite sessions of Thankyou. And usually this has been an internal meeting, hasn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk more on it soon.
Yeah.
But you don't want to miss this. This is something that's very precious to us. It's talking about our impact. And we'd love to take you through it.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 10 minutes or less.
Yes,
Is
so
it
hurry
10?
up. Let's go to the toilet and we'll meet you back soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Try and help me forget about you. Just a simple touch and it gets set you free. We don't have to rush when you're alone with me. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I know what you feel like. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I know what you feel right. La la la. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I know what you feel right. La la la. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Grace Jones, slave to the rhythm, 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 rhythm. To the rhythm, rhythm.
slave to the rhythm, slave to the rhythm, to the rhythm, to the rhythm, to the rhythm.
Right in this moment to introduce to you this next segment. Firstly, I have to introduce Pete, who's going to be running the segment. Now, Pete Yao, he has been with us for many years, but he's a thought leader. He's incredibly intelligent, especially when it comes around international development. But he's also incredibly funny. He's shaking his head going, nah, don't say this, pressure. But with this team impact that we're about to introduce you to right now, it's our international impact, so we call it our internal impact meeting. And when we started rolling them out internally, it became one of our favourite meetings internally because we're getting to learn more about the world, more about the impact that we're making, but it's also filled with so much fun and laughter and tears. It's a very emotional event normally. So tonight we've just got a teaser for you, and in the future we're going to be running more of these, but we're going to just lay the foundations tonight. Now, when we first did some of these IIMETs, we call them internal impact meetings, Pete actually sent out a flyer to everybody in the team, and he used all of his skills and talent to create this beautiful flyer. I haven't run this past legal, so I'm really, really hoping that we're going to be okay. Just don't post it externally because this is our internal. But the best thing about Pete is he always gives other people the credit, and so when he sent this out, he was like, didn't our creative team do such a great job? To which Lucy and our creative team were like crawling under the chairs at the time going, it wasn't us. So tonight, I get the honour of introducing Pete to you. I assure you that his international development skills and work is far better than his paint shop work. Thank you.
Hey everyone. Hey, can everyone hear me? Awesome, cool. Hey, I'm Pete. Thank you for the kind words. Let's get that image down. Ooh, also, if anyone can run and grab a clicker from the back for me, that will be super. Oh, Nathan, thank you so much. You got my back. Thanks, Jay. Awesome. Yes. Let's go straight into not seeing that slide. In the next few moments, I know everyone's keen to check out the store and what's next there. But in the next few moments, I'd just like to bring us back and center us on our why. Like, why do we actually exist? Like, what's the point of this thank you idea? And also, like, what causes Sean, someone that left his management consultant job, to pioneer an innovative extreme poverty model that reaches people living on less than 75 cents a day? Like, crazy to even imagine. What makes him leave his job to start this in his sister's basement? And I just connected with him actually 2 weeks ago. And this quote that struck with me basically expresses his why. He says, every time I work with community members and visit them, you see their passions, their desires. You want to stay up every single night until you pass out on your laptop, on your computer, doing the work, doing the analysis, and doing whatever it takes to get out there. Like, what makes someone so driven to do that? You see, at the heart of Thankyou, we believe that every single person in the world, no matter where they're born, how they're born, the beliefs they hold on to, their cultural backgrounds or social groups they belong to, has a right to a life of dignity. This is true for me. I wasn't born in Australia. I was born in an island called Borneo. Don't know whether anyone's heard of it. Anyone in the rooms from there as well. I didn't have the privileges growing up in Australia. Also, in one of our first few trips to visit some of our water projects that we have funded, this is not the same reality as well for these school children in Kenya. And interestingly, when I asked them, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? That exactly the same response as I did. And they said, hey, we want to be the next Ronaldo or Messi and like play for our country, you know, kick a whole bunch of goals. They also introduced me to something called duck, duck, goose, which for them was, I think it was sheep, sheep, lion, and lion in Swahili is Simba, as something that was an aside. But like they had the same dreams and they were exactly the same as Pete growing up. And just because they were born in a place that's not of their choosing, you know, that to endure some of the most tragic and alarming stories. You see, on the picture on my right, they encountered tales where this was the only water source within their area, and their friends actually had done the same water walk, collected water for the families, walked back, but because they shared it with wild animals, they saw, you know, their friends trampled and then passed away. And so when we talk about why we exist here at Thankyou, so that stories like this and stories like Dan was saying, 719 million of these stories cease to exist in our lifetime. This is why we exist. Before we get into our how, I think it's also really important to talk about our what. So extreme poverty, we heard that thrown a lot around, but what exactly is it? It's someone that lives on less than $2.15 a day, which can be so hard to actually imagine what does it actually look like. For us, the UN does a great job at breaking it down, and this is where I geek out a lot. So we look at deprivation. So when you live on less than $2.15 a day, you're actually severely deprived on health outcomes. So they use child mortality as an indicator. You're actually severely deprived of education. They look at primary school education as an indicator as well. You're severely deprived in your standard of living. That means toilets access, water access, things like power, things that we take for granted each and every day. They're severely deprived of that. This is what we're going up against. And for us, well, Dan was saying 9% of the world currently live in extreme poverty. That's 719 million people. Some of the tragic statistics that maybe you might not have known about, but over 5 million children pass away each and every year from preventable diseases correlated with poverty. In fact, you might be surprised, but if I was to take a survey of the room right now or online and say, hey, can you describe the characteristics of people living in extreme poverty? You might be actually able to name some people that are rural, that live in rural areas, people that are in the agricultural industry. But surprisingly, the people that are most affected by poverty or extreme poverty are people that are under the ages of 18. That's currently the world that we're living in. Given current trends, over 500 million people by 2030 will still be in extreme poverty. And I suppose for us, coming out of COVID, we actually saw the largest increase of extreme poverty ever recorded since World War II. So this is the state of the world, this is the enemy that we're fighting, and this is why we exist. Our primary focus is to amplify the amazing change makers that we will meet and we'll see in the next few moments. And we want to amplify them and their work so that they can actually reach outcomes to serve the extreme poor. And we want to amplify those outcomes exponentially. And that is our why. So lastly, our how. This is a top-level view of something called a theory of change. A theory of change is a working hypothesis on actually how do we actually get to that vision? Like how do we actually get to the world without extreme poverty? Daniel's already unpacked really greatly about our social enterprise model. Like we're here to be a funding bridge. We're here to be a funding bridge to bridge the gap between the funding gap and the amazing solutions and partners that are out there. In the next few seconds, we're going to go across our impact partners, as well as unrestricted funding. And that is essentially how we are serious about tackling extreme poverty. So let's start with this. We're going to find partners just like we have found in a room, and they are the true heroes. They're the implementers. They spend their lives' work dedicated to finding pioneering solutions that are studied by some of the best universities in the world right now, and solutions that are super impactful. And for us, there's four things that we look at. Our partners have to be driven by impact, serious about scale, serious about systems, and also are led by what we consider remarkable people. To take it one step further, because they can be buzzwords, what do we mean by impact? Impact is a lot different than just, hey, we've just built a well, or we've run a program. Impact happens as a result of that. So what exactly is the outcome of building something or in creating a program that someone attends to? Is it actually lifting someone up from poverty? Is it actually decreasing child mortality rates? Or are they just running activity for activity's sake because it looks and sounds cool? The most shocking thing for us is the Stanford Social Innovation Review recently published a study which says the most effective charities can be 100 times more impactful than those that are not, and many times more than those charities that are negatively impacting communities. So our partners are driven by impact, they're rigorous, and they study exactly what they're causing and what they're leading to. Then we go into systems. Our partners care deeply about poverty traps found within the micro level, individual level, the meso level, or even institutional and macro level. That's what we call systems thinking. And for us, it gives us, we believe, the best shot at solving some of the root causes of poverty, because we just don't want to be tackling symptoms over and over and over again. And as an aside, for me, I think systems thinking also provides us with humility, because to accurately root cause or scope out an issue and also find the solutions, it's actually people that are proximate to these issues that have the best knowledge and the knowledge that we should be depending on. And therefore, we fund change makers that are local and proximate as well, because they know the best about systems and which levers to pull. Scale. Just like a business, we like organizations that scale, but we just don't like organizations that scale because they're reaching more people and they look great on a spreadsheet. Scaling organizations teach us something. They teach us, hey, we're not in this for the long run, so can someone actually replicate our model so that charities, we know we're short term at best, so that when we leave, there's going to be amazing partners who are proximate that will continue to take these solutions, replicate that over and over again, and see true sustainable development. So they're serious about, is the idea and solution big enough, cheap enough, and simple enough so that they can scale up? That's why we love scale, because that's truly at the bedrock of sustainability. Lastly, just in the room, as we know, you might have an amazing idea. Be so systems focused, have scale, but it all rises and falls on team. And so for us, we say remarkable team. I mean, our partners that we first acknowledge, they're not perfect, but we believe that they are high in two things: high in capacity and high in capabilities. So high in capacity, capabilities, and high in character. And those are two things that we look for, including their value to learn. And so we think that for them, if we find these amazing partners who are doing incredible work, it will be crazy for us not to fund them in something called unrestricted funding. And that looks at a funding approach, which is the same as what we would do in funding an Apple or a Tim Cook, to say, hey, you've passed our due diligence. You're so aligned with all these values. We're actually going to empower you because we think you're the experts and you know the best. We're actually going to empower you and say, use the money however you like. You know, that's the power of unrestricted funding, because research shows that 46% of obstacles that charities face are funder created, compared to 3 to 2%, which is theft or robbery. So our partners are the experts. And just like our values of humility, we want to back them in a way that demonstrates our humility, but also empowers them to reach their outcomes exponentially. One of the things that I love to do is just show the room who these people are. So you might have seen a video, some of you might have, but this is Surya. He leads an organization called One Heart Worldwide, and you're going to discover a bit more about what he and his amazing team are doing. And I think he's joining us right now as well on the live stream, so we're going to say hi to him a bit. Well, we're going to clap and say hi virtually a bit later, but let me just show you what Surya and his team are doing on the field.
So when my parents got married, my dad was 13, my mom was 11, and then they had, first baby when my mom was 16, and then, during her childbirth that she had a long labor, and then my sister was, very tiny, and she born at home. Placenta did not come out for 2 days, and so traditionally they used to put like a garden hose, which is a metal, if the placenta is not coming, which is culturally accepted in many communities. So they put garden hose for several hours, and she felt very, very, very painful. Fortunately, that her placenta came out, and she felt, she survived through the whole, she get the new life. So that was her story, and then that really inspired me. Why not I serve more mothers, so they don't have to suffer what my mother had to suffer.
Do you need a couple of seconds?
Okay, I'm okay. Women in the community, they have to travel, several days in rural areas to give the safe birth to, hours, takes like 7-8 hours to get to the nearest, birthing centers or nearest hospital. And in rural, remote areas, it takes even several days to get to the hospitals. Both mom and baby, it is very unsafe to have a home birth, and home birth is, as you know, it's unhygienic, so that leads to the vulnerability for the woman.
पहिला सुत्केरी हुँदा घरै सुत्केरी भएको परे घरै हस्पिटल जानुहुन्न भन्नुहुन्थ्यो कि बाबा आमाले, त्यसपछि आइएन। जन्मेपछि बाबुमा मात्र खाएनन्, दुईटी बच्चालाई हल्का मात्र खान्थे। 3 दिनपछि दुईटी बच्चाले चाहिँ राम्रो खाँदै थिए, अनि 4 दिनको राति 81 नानी चिग्रेर रोथ्यो। अनि के भएर रो भन्दै यताउता गर्दै अब यहाँ गाउँघरको चलन नरन गर्ने भन्ने हुन्छ, गरे त्यो नगरेसम्म ननिकाल्ने भन्ने। अनि त्यसपछि हस्पिटल पनि ल्याइएन, अनि पछि त्यही 5 दिनको बेलुका 5 दिनमा नरन गरेपछि बेलुका साँझमा हिँडाल्ने भनेको यति हो। भएको एउटा बच्चा छैन के एउटा बच्चा छ। अब घर आउँदा स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा चेक गराउन आइएन, आफ्नै कमजोरी भयो त।
One Heart has a long history of working in maternal One Health. We work with local communities, where the really a change maker. We also upgrade the health facility because the need is so great in remote areas.
गराइसकेपछि नानीको अवस्था मेरो स्वास्थ्य राम्रो भयो, सजिलो भयो मेरो। अनि दुईवटा बच्चा थिए, यहाँ गराएर एउटा बच्चा बाँच्यो, वहाँ गराउँदै यहाँ गराएर दुईटी बच्चा बाँच्नु थियो होला। अब गाउँघरमा हस्पिटल मेडिकल केही पनि हुँदैन, टाढा टाढा जाँदा बच्चाको आमाको ज्यान खतरा हुन्छ, यहाँ आउँदा सजिलो हुन्छ। आमा बच्चाको ज्यान बच्ने भयो नजिक भएपछि।
It's very important to have the care nearby their home so they would come easily. Those facilities where we are supporting, they provide the vaccination service and immunization service. We see that if women coming for individual care, they would come for the delivery. And if they come for the delivery, they would come for the immunization. Since we started here from last 3 years, there was no maternal death in Bali.
चेक गर्न जानुपर्छ, यसो गर्नुपर्छ भनेर चेक गर्न जाने, राम्रो स्वास्थ्य आफ्नो र बच्चाको स्वास्थ्य सजिलो हुन्छ, चेक गर्न जानुपर्छ भन्छ।
Awesome. I think it'll be really important just to pause for that moment and just to give a clap right now to all the incredible impact partners that are doing life-saving work all across the country. People that are tuning in as well. We're deeply, deeply honored to be partners of you. And the coolest thing for me, I'm sort of a numbers guy. Stories are really important to paint a picture in the room on what is the actual situation. But numbers for me mean a lot as well, because knowing One Heart, knowing the fact that in their districts and their unique model, which looks actually at reducing maternal and neonatal deaths, they've reduced neonatal deaths and maternal deaths by 50% in 5 years. Also having a co-investment model with the ministries of health, in which case when they transition out, they're still seeing the same impact years and years after they've actually finished and transitioned out, which is a testament to what we talked about, impact, systems, scale, and led by a remarkable team. You have the opportunity, if you like me, to geek out on things like randomized control trials, attribution, correlation, anything to do with that which excites you. I see no hands, but I see some smiles in the room on there. If you do like to geek out with me, come have a chat, but also we've put a lot of resources on our website as well. So you're gonna have access to all that, including our investment thesis. And then just to finish off, since 2020, we've had the pleasure of backing people like One Heart, but just to profile some of the other partners that we've helped to back. We've backed people like Sean from Raising the Village, who I talked about, who are pioneering an economic development that is being studied by Oxford right now, lifting up someone living on less than 75 cents up to $2.25 in 24 months, which is pretty remarkable. Partners like International Justice Mission, who have been pioneering models ensuring that the poor are protected by functioning justice systems, because if they aren't, poverty will always, always remain. Partners like D-Price, an African visionary fund, who are finding and funding highly impactful local and proximate partners who are often overlooked by donors because they look or sound different. Partners like Strong Minds, who are addressing the intersection of mental health and poverty. Lastly, partners like Nauru International, who know that lifting people out of poverty, if we're not serious about reaching fragile or in conflict adjacent zones, we're never going to reach the remaining 719 million people. So their teams are currently working in places which are experiencing coups, terrorism, internal conflict, and they have an amazing economic development model that they are implementing there. To finish, if this at all excites you, as Jay was saying, we'd love to invite you to IMET. We're going to have 2 in the next 12 months. We're going to actually feature our partners. Fingers crossed you get to meet some of them as well. And we're going to be sending out the dates to you in a short time. And lastly, I think it's really important as we finish as well to give our impact partners, who are the real change makers and heroes of this story, a massive round of applause again.
Thank you, Pete. Before you head down, Pete, before you head down, on behalf of all of us, thank you for keeping the main thing the main thing. I'm a commercial guy, get so locked into the numbers and the product, but Pete, he keeps that compass pointing towards true north. You got to pick his brain if you're interested in impact. He's a wealth of knowledge, and you're going to have a lot of fun. But thank you for sharing. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for keeping the mission real. Pete, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Pete. And thank you to everyone in the room. And this brings us to an end for the evening. We want to thank everyone online. Actually, before we do, we've got a few takeaways, don't we?
We do have a takeaway, a few takeaways. It's on the screen behind me. That's right. So Daniel mentioned this, but this movement has been built for now over 15 years on everyday Australians, and now hopefully people around the world, taking little actions to do an incredible thing when it all comes together, right? So we need your help. Thursday night, Chapter 0 will be in your inbox if you're tuning in. Spread the word. Head to the shelves. Head to the supermarkets, the Chemist Warehouse, the independent grocery. Coles, thank you so much. They've got to hit the shelves, right, Jazz?
Yes, and we've got our exclusive tours for those of you who can't see the store before it launches. We've got some exclusive tours that you can see online.
Absolutely. 30th of June.
Before the 30th of June when we launch.
That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone online. Thank you for being on this mission, and thank you for staying later than the date or the time we gave you online.
2 hours on Zoom in 2023 is something remarkable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your support, and that deserves a round of applause, so thank you.
Well, we've got one more exciting thing to do, don't we?
It's It's just an illusion.
Sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water.